Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I've got a few new fragrances to discuss with you. These are kind of like first impressions, but I'll tell you the experience I've had with each perfume as we get there. So I've got the new one which I'm going to unbox with you from Naughton and Wilson, Bon Viveur. I have had a sneak preview of that just on paper so far, so we're going to do that. I've also got Boundless and material from Amouage and a couple of other things I'm going to mention in a bit, so you have to pay attention, you have to stay to the end to find out everything that I'm going to be discussing. So let's get on with it. I'm going to start with a Bon Viveur. So this is from Mr Smelly, Dan Naughton, and his company with Matt Wilson. And they have, obviously they did Gravitas last year, and now they have this new perfume, Bon Viveur. And this is with the same perfumer as was for Gravitas, which is John, what's his bloody name? John Stephen, sorry, John Stephen. And he has, I think he has a Cotswold Perfumery down in the Cotswolds area, obviously. And let's get the cellophane off. So this is now, this was being pre-sold at a cheaper price if people were to buy it in the pre-sale, and now it's selling for £110 for 100 mils. I've seen a couple of posts. I think there's a couple of posts on Instagram now, and I believe there's one review already on YouTube. I haven't looked at it yet. I will do later. So here is the box. You can see there's a shiny silver logo and writing, and there we go. And it's a simple box, cardboard. Open it up, and inside, oop, I pulled the lid off. Inside we have the bottle. So let's pop the lid on there. So you can now see what it looks like. A lovely silver plaque there. So that's a metal plaque. The lid has Naughton and Wilson. So you've got Naughton there, and you turn it around and you can see Wilson there. So that's a very nice detail. On the top, N and W. And on the back, you can see where the plaque's been glued on. But lovely, lovely, lovely from the front. So I'm going to do this one on skin because I've so far only tried it on paper, and I'm going to reserve judgment until I've done it on my skin because I think that's only fair. Here we go, we'll go up here. So we'll do a few because I do know this is quite fresh, certainly in the opening. So pop that out of the way for a moment. So when I smelt this yesterday, no, not yesterday, when was it? It was a few days ago. When I smelt this a few days ago, I said to Dan, this reminds me of one of those Guerlain colognes. There's quite a few colognes that Guerlain have done sort of over the years. I think there's one, well, there's Cologne Imperial, I think, but there's quite a few different colognes. I can't tell them apart. Maybe if I smelt them all together, I might be able to pick out what's different about them, but in general it reminds me of a Guerlain cologne, and what I mean is a very natural smelling, citrusy cologne. You can smell lots of different citrusy notes all together, but I tell you what I'm getting here actually on skin is different to what I got on paper. So this is denser than I remember, and I think I can actually smell the patchouli mixing in with everything already. So it's actually a little heavier than I gave it credit for on the paper, and I can also smell lavender, and I don't think that's even listed. I've got the notes here: lemon, orange mandarin, bay, basil, lemongrass, gin, clove, pepper, watermelon, cedar, patchouli, oak moss, and vetiver. So yeah, it feels like it is quite spicy actually, and it feels to me like the patchouli is mixing in with all those citrusy notes, with all the fresh citruses and the aromatics. So where on paper it was very much a citrus only kind of fragrance to start with, on skin I think the patchouli's been pushed out to mingle with everything, and it's very peppery and spicy, which it wasn't really on the paper either. So it's actually quite a bigger hitter than I gave it credit for on paper. I have to be honest, I preferred it on paper. This is a little denser than I might like. It's definitely much more Dan's taste than it is mine, of course, because it's his direction. But I can smell more base on the skin than I ever could on the paper. You can definitely smell that it's a citrusy, but I couldn't pick out specifically any citruses at the moment. Just a general citrusy melange and quite a strong spicy element, and I think that's the clove that I'm smelling. If I didn't know what was in there, I might be saying, is there a bit of carnation? And carnation can smell a little clove-like, so it's given me that kind of feel, like a carnation spice, or I guess it's the clove. Very peppery actually. It's almost reminded me a little bit of Caron's Poivre, not the whole fragrance, but and the spiciness, the pepperiness of Caron's Poivre. It's a touch green, and I think the green is from the aromatics, the bay and the basil. So it's not green as in walking through a forest, it's not green as in dark green leaves, it's definitely green as in aromatic herbal. So much pepper here that I really hadn't spotted before. And yeah, no lavender listed, but I feel like there is a bit of lavender in here. I'm getting that kind of like herbal pepperiness that lavender can lend things, that aromatic. I mean, the lavender is very very distinct in the way it smells. I can't say for sure that I really know that lavender's in here. I just get the feeling. It feels like the kind of fragrance that would have lavender in it. But for me, mostly the standout note now is the pepper and the clove that's really pushing out now. And yeah, if I had to guess, I would have guessed carnation as one of the notes. Really interesting, and I'm amazed really how different that has been on skin than it was on paper. So that's really just my first impressions. It's not my style of fragrance. I don't dislike it, it's just not my thing. I usually wear things that are sweeter or more floral, that's all. And there's no vanilla that I'm picking out here, which is the kind of thing that I would normally go for in a fragrance. Very, very peppery. I don't get the watermelon. For me, that's a good thing. I find watermelon can be quite, I guess it just makes me think synthetic. When I smell watermelon, I think synthetic. I think of Millesime Imperial from Creed, which I really don't enjoy. So I'm pleased myself that I can't smell watermelon. And yeah, that's it really. Really, really spicy, this one, which I really didn't pick up on when I sprayed it on paper. So that's been interesting. So let's move on then. I've got the two new. So Dan actually lent me this. So when I went round there and he gave me Bon Viveur, he let me have a few days with this. This is Amouage sent this to Dan, and it's got the new fragrances Boundless and Material, as well as individual ingredients, which has been fascinating. So I have smelled all of those, And Dan and I are actually going to do a full video on these fragrances from Amouage, which will be on his channel. That'll be, we'll be filming it hopefully in the next few days. So it should be on his channel in the next week or two. In the meantime, I just wanted to give you my first impressions of the two fragrances. So I have just sprayed about 20 minutes ago, both on my fingers. I did my fingers because I already could smell some of my perfume up on the hands, so I did them on my fingers. I sprayed them as well the other day, so I have had material on my skin for a longer period of time. I haven't had Boundless on my skin until now, so again, fragrances that definitely smell different on skin than they do on paper. So if you are really interested in these fragrances, do try and get samples so you can try them on your skin, because honestly, Boundless in particular was a completely different experience on paper to skin. So you get a lot more facets and really quite different facets on skin. So we'll start with Boundless then. This was the one I was less interested in. Boundless has blood orange, cardamom, ginger, elamine, benzoin, vanilla, guaiac wood, papyrus, coca, tobacco, oak moss, frankincense, myrrh, vetiver and patchouli. And Boundless comes in the masculine bottle. Although both are listed as unisex, they have come in the different bottles. So materials in the feminine bottle, Boundless is in the masculine, but they are both unisex. So Boundless, when I first sprayed it, I really got the cardamom, which I don't think I picked up on paper. And it's a very kind of very fresh, very noticeable cardamom mixed with the orange. So it's actually blood orange. I wouldn't necessarily know whether it's blood orange or not, just that it was definitely a mixing of cardamom and citrus, but it's a blood orange and cardamom. Now on my skin it's changed. I'm getting a lot more of the resins coming through. There's a little bit of sweetness going on, which I think comes from the resins. Plus you've also got vanilla in here. You've got a natural vanilla and you've got a natural benzoin. And so you've got a lot of resins, frankincense, myrrh, benzoin. And then of course you've got deeper notes like tobacco, vetiver, patchouli. For me, I think it's the tobacco that's making it a little cloying to my nose. Now I am a bit oversensitive with tobacco. I don't always enjoy tobacco in fragrances, particularly ones that have a very heavy, you know, if you've got tobacco in the title, more often than not I find it cloying. Hard to explain why. Is it too sweet? Not exactly, but kind of. There's something about it I just don't really enjoy. But sometimes a little tobacco in a fragrance, I can love it. But here I think the tobacco is quite pronounced. So it's a slightly spicy tobacco, cardamom, resin fragrance. I can see why they've put this in the masculine bottle. Not that it necessarily leans one way or the other, but I think that the average, I think that men are going to lean more towards this than women. That's just my gut feeling. Women do tend to, not all women, I don't like to generalize, but most women tend to prefer sweeter fragrances and maybe lighter fragrances and maybe more floral fragrances. So for me, I think it's the tobacco that I don't particularly like in this. But I think this is going to go down very, very well with a lot of people who do like tobacco. And I know tobacco is a very popular note, but it is just not quite for me. So that is Boundless. And then we'll move on to material, which I have on here. And I do much prefer this. So this one is by Cecile Zarokian, who I'm a big fan of. And she's been doing a lot of promotion with her new fragrance for Amouage. She's been in London, she's been doing meet and greets, she's done some live streams with Mia and also Chris from Fragmental, and yeah, she seems like a really lovely person, very passionate, and you learn a lot from watching these live streams, so I'll link both of those live streams below. I think when it comes to material, it's nothing new, but it is really nice. So If you know Cecile Zarokian's from Tia Carbonell, she did Cafe Cabanel. Now I've only tried that as a first impression, and then I went and lost the sample, but it's reminding me of that. It's also reminding me of, she also did one for Masque Milano, Tango. It's in that ballpark, so it's definitely an amber type fragrance. And Dan said to me, it reminds me of something. Have a smell, what do you think? And immediately I sprayed it. I said, oh, tonka, I can really smell the tonka in here. So I said, I'm not sure, it's either Fève Delicious or Tonka Imperial. And he agreed. I can't remember which one he said it was. I mix those two up anyway. They're both tonka heavy, ambery fragrances. If you like Tonka Imperial or Fève Delicious, I think you're going to like this. And I'm not saying it smells exactly the same as any of those fragrances, but it is in that ballpark. So you have tonka in here as a base note, but I get it immediately. And I find that with tonka anyway. It's a note that I usually pick up on straight away in a fragrance, regardless of where it sits in the pyramid. So this one then, I can't remember if I read you the notes, so I'll read them now. Elamai, patchouli, vanilla, Madagascar, benzoin, gaiac wood, oud, osmanthus, frankincense, labdanum, and tonka. For me, this is a sweet tonka resin, a vanilla fragrance primarily. I don't pick up on osmanthus, so I think whatever it's doing to the fragrance is just lending it a little hint of something. Osmanthus usually would smell of an apricot and or leathery suede like scent. So I'm not really picking up on what I usually pick up on from osmanthus, so I believe it's a very understated in the fragrance. Same with oud, I don't really pick up on any oud. Gaiac wood, yes, there's a smoky woodsy note here. In fact, the first time I tried material, it was really smoky to my nose. I think I've got a little more used to it now, and it doesn't feel as smoky as it did, but it's quite a smoky. And you have Elamai, I'm not sure how you say it, which is a lemony resin. It's quite an interesting note and I quite enjoy it. Do I pick up on it? Not sure. I'm going to respray on a piece of paper just to check the top notes. So this set here that they've sent down, and they've sent some other influences, is so nice. I wish they would let people buy these, because you get to smell the individual materials and you have a nice travel size of the fragrances. I think it's absolutely lovely, and I would love to see them offer this. I don't know if it's cost effective to be able to offer this for sale, but I think that customers like to learn, and this is a really great learning experience to receive the individual ingredients as well as the fragrances. I think it's a brilliant educational package, and I would love them to offer it for sale so that not just the privileged few get to experience it. Yeah, so when you first spray material, it's really smoky, especially on the paper. I think it's dark smoky, like it's almost like, imagine black wood smoking, and slightly leathery even. Very, very dark, smoky yet sweet. Sweet from the sweet resins and the vanilla, I think. I don't really pick up that lemony Elamai resin that's in here. But on the skin, so much more mellow. It sweetens up. It's definitely a tonka fragrance in my opinion. I do feel something slightly scratchy, like as if there's a pinch of something like ambroxan in here. Now I don't know if there is or not, it's not listed, but I just get a little hint of it, so nothing to worry about if you're anti ambroxan, but there is that kind of that mass appealing dry woody kind of note in here, but it doesn't take over. The main thing you get here is sweet resins, tonka and vanilla, and sort of just a dryness and a smokiness. But the fragrance isn't too dry. I feel like it's balanced. Like there's definitely some dry materials, but there's also some not so dry materials, so it's not a completely dry fragrance. Definitely one I would pick out for colder weather, you know, autumn and winter, just because it's a little on the spicy side. It's very rich, it's very woody, it's sweet, cozy. It's a very cozy fragrance. Definitely prefer it on the skin once it's had a few moments to settle. And it is really, really nice. Don't expect it to rock your world. If you smell a lot of niche fragrances, this isn't going to be anything that, you know, you haven't smelt something similar before, but it is done very, very nicely with very beautiful materials and in a lovely balanced way. So that's definitely my favorite of the two. So finally then, we'll leave the Amouages there, because I'm going to revisit those in much more depth later on with Dan. And I just wanted to quickly remind you, if you didn't see my live stream the other day, I'm working in collaboration with Perfume Playground. They're UK based, so this is only going to be relevant to my UK based followers. But I've picked out what I consider to be the best and the most interesting from the Masque Milano line, and they've put together a set of samples. There's 7 altogether in there, and you are going to be able to smell along with me. If you want to buy the samples, they're £22.50, and I'm going to do a live stream early in June, a date to be confirmed, but you'll be able to smell along with me. We'll be able to go through all the samples and just explore together here on YouTube, and the usual place where my live streams are. You can join in the chat and tell me what you get from the fragrances. Full disclosure, I'm not being paid, and it's not an affiliate, so I don't earn anything from it, but Perfume Playground have been very kind and sent me all the samples I needed to try out all the Masque Milanos, and they've also sent me some nice products. So I've got, which I'll be showing in more detail, I've got a full bottle here of Lost Alice, which is a fascinating fragrance, and I've got travel sizes of a La Tessa and also a Madeleine, which are fascinating fragrances. You can see I've made a decent dent in both, because I'm really exploring these fragrances to the max so that I can really go in depth when we do the live stream. If you do buy the sample set, then you get a discount, so you'll be able to get your money back off a full bottle from Masque Milano. That's the 35ml or the 100ml, and you can also get a 10% discount on these travel sizes, which are fabulous for us frag heads who don't need too much fragrance if we've already got over 100 bottles. So you'll get 10% off the travel sizes, which is pretty amazing too. So I do hope you can join in. If you're not in the UK, you can still join in the live stream. Just you'll need to find and source your own samples from elsewhere, because Perfume Playground do only ship to the UK at the moment. So that was all then. I'm going to post all the links to that Smell Along with Smurfy sample set, and the links to the live streams with Cecile Zarokian are all going to be in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video.